In this video, I'm gonna show you the ridiculous meme that I used to close a $15,000 deal. I'll also show you the 4 sales principles that helped me transform from a broke retail worker to a sales professional who's generated over $1 million in revenue doing B2B sales. This is for you if you're thinking about getting into sales, you're new to sales, or you're currently in sales but aren't making 6 figures. This is for you if you've experienced anxiety when making cold calls, meeting with prospects, or when you're conducting product demos. This is for you if you're missing out on deals left and right, but can't pinpoint what the problem is. But first, who am I? My name's Vinny. I've won multiple President Club awards for being the top 1% of salespeople at a Fortune 500 company. As a result, I've created the lifestyle that I've always dreamed about. I'm able to work whenever I want, wherever I want, and never have to worry about money. I've also coached people from all over the world, helping them become award-winning salespeople as well. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because when I first started, I sucked. I'd make 200 calls in a day and get 200 rejections. Whenever I actually connected with a prospect, my mind would go blank and I'd end up saying something stupid. Prospect would forget about me because I didn't know how to properly follow up. I'd also lose deal after deal because I'd be too scared to ask for their business. This all slowly started to take a toll on my mental health. I began to find it harder and harder to wake up each morning for work. The only parts of the day that I looked forward to were lunch and going home. Every time an incoming call would come in or a customer email hit my inbox, every single cell in my body would scream, "Don't pick up the call, don't answer that email." I just wanted to close my laptop, hang up the phone, and call it a day. Soon, I was trapped in a vicious downward spiral. The worse my mental health got, the worse my performance got. The worse my performance got, the less money I made. The less money I made, the worse my mental health got. All of this would repeat. One day after a sleepless night filled with anxiety, I looked at myself in the mirror. I barely recognized myself. I used to be full of life, vibrant, but now I was just a lifeless shell of who I was. I looked closer and noticed that I had a gray hair. It dawned on me. This job was literally killing me. I looked at myself in the mirror and realized I had 2 options. I could throw in the towel and go back into the retail industry, or I could take matters into my own hands and make things work. Since I had the responsibility of taking care of myself, my mother, my siblings, I realized that I had to make this work. There was no other option. There was no plan B. So I threw myself into sales because my life literally depended on it. First, I bought all the books I could find on anything remotely related to sales. Books on sales tactics, how the brain works, influence, persuasion, negotiation, you name it, I bought it. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on sales seminars and personal development conferences. I ended up changing my entire sales approach. I started developing my own scripts and sales tactics to put to the test. About 90% of what I tried didn't work. 10% worked okay. For that 10% that worked okay, I tweaked and kept tweaking. Slowly but surely, my numbers started to improve. Beginners typically have a conversion rate between 2 to 6%. Meanwhile, I was gradually working my way up to a 42% conversion rate. As a result, I won B2B Salesperson of the Month, then achieved it again, then again. Before I knew it, I joined the top 1% of salespeople at my company, and senior leadership started referring other fellow salespeople to train under me from all over the country. The recognition from within the company was nice, but what was even nicer is I could feel my lifestyle changing. I was able to make my own hours and work from wherever I wanted. I've closed deals while in Mexico on vacation. I've closed deals while on tour with the band that I play drums in. And I've even closed deals in the emergency room at a hospital. But the biggest change of all was the change that I felt from within. You see, at a point in my life when I was younger, I quite literally found myself homeless. I had no direction, dreaded the future, and lived in a state where I couldn't focus on anything but survival. I couldn't take care of myself, let alone others. But fast forward to now, I'm not only able to provide for myself, but able to take care of my mom, siblings, friends, and even strangers who are in need. I'm able to help pay for my sister's housing while she's in college. I'm able to buy my mother nicer things in life as a thank you for everything that she's done for me. I'm now financially secure and grateful that I don't have to worry about money anymore. I finally have life under control. So the question you probably have is, well, how did I do it? I'm going to boil this down to 4 main principles. These aren't just any plain 4 tips. I've literally spent years and tens of thousands of dollars crawling through glass to absorb and retain this information. But I'm gonna give it to you for free, and I want you to succeed. Principle 1, sales does not require crazy social skills. Back when I started in sales, I thought I had to be an extremely extroverted and charismatic person who always had to say the perfect lines at the right time to be successful. In addition, I thought I had to make hundreds of cold calls each day and spend a significant amount of time customer facing with prospects, thinking that I needed to be face-to-face so they would feel comfortable enough to buy from me. But that's simply not true. Believe it or not, I've made a huge chunk of money through one of the easiest forms of communication, email. In other words, I completely bypassed the step of having to call them and meet with them face-to-face. What's even crazier is that I can create one email, reach more people, shorten the sales cycle, and close more deals. I consistently close $10,000 to $20,000 deals through email. And I recently even closed a deal for $57,000, all handled through email. I recommend really tightening up your email writing skills and developing personalized templates that result in higher conversions. This is super simple to do, as I've helped many of my students do this. Principle number 2, learn how to properly follow up with your prospects. A lot of people in sales make this huge mistake during a sales meeting when they're ending the interaction with the prospect who hasn't committed to buying from them yet. They'll say something like, "Great meeting, thank you for your time. I'll follow up with you in a couple days." In a couple days, they'll blindly call their prospect back and say something like, "Just following up and seeing if you got the approval to greenlight this project and make the purchase." If you're doing this right now, stop it. The problem with this approach is that you haven't set clear and meaningful next steps with your prospect. If clear and meaningful next steps are not established and agreed upon, then the deal will lose momentum, they'll get stalled up, and ultimately, they won't close. Let's think about it another way. Have you ever said, "Hey, we should hang out sometime"? If you left it at that, I'm gonna bet that you never ended up hanging out. But instead, let's say you said something like, "Hey, let's hang out on Tuesday at 9 p.m. at this restaurant." Does that work for you? By framing the proposition like this, they'll either give you a concrete yes or no. If they give you a no, then you understand what their hesitation is and propose another time. Chances are you will get the immediate yes and obtain their commitment. The exact same thing applies to sales. So when ending an interaction with a prospect, you need to explicitly define the following things. 1, when do you both agree to reconnect next? 2, what exact steps do you need them to take to close the deal? 3, what exact steps do you need to take care of for the deal to close? Once you do this, you'll find that you'll never need to follow up or touch base with the prospect ever again. Say farewell to prospects ghosting you and dodging your calls. Principle number 3, knowing how to ask for the business. Back when I first started, the thought of asking a stranger for money right then and there was uncomfortable. I couldn't think of a way to do it without being too salesy, and I probably seemed super awkward in asking them for their business. But what I didn't know was that it wasn't really how I asked for the business, it was way more important when I asked for the business. When I was just starting out, I would ask when they weren't enthusiastic enough to buy. Basically, they were at a 0 in terms of enthusiasm, and as a result, they would have to think things over before making a decision, and the deal would never close. So how do you increase their enthusiasm? There are many ways, but 2 really important factors I want to focus on are 1, positioning, and 2, rapport. First, you have to position your product in a way that solves their problem. For example, if they tell you that their biggest obstacle is how much your solution costs, don't say, "Yeah, but it's so easy to use." Rather, focus on how costly it is to not use your solution. Next, rapport. This is about your prospect feeling heard on an emotional level. Once they feel heard, then they'll begin to like and trust you. When they like and trust you, then they'll become more enthusiastic. For example, once when I was on the phone with a prospect, he was very hesitant in moving forward with the deal. During the call, he made an offhand joke saying something like, he would buy only if we could fulfill a shipment of custom branded Speedos with their company name on it. But the thing was, my company didn't do any sort of printing or clothing. After the call ended, I decided to create a custom tailored meme. The meme was composed of a male model wearing a Speedo and text across the front of the Speedo that read their company name. I sent the prospect this meme in an email and nothing else. 20 minutes later, I got the thumbs up to move forward with a $15,000 deal and a string of about 20 ha-ha-has. So as you can see, there are ways to create this sort of enthusiasm. And once you do that, that's when deals start to close and close and close. The final principle is this: don't be afraid to ask for help. 34.7% of people who try sales quit each year. Out of those who don't quit, it takes an average of 9 months for them to be competent at sales. Why are these statistics so dark? It's because there's a million mistakes you can make throughout the sales process. You could be focusing on the wrong leads, making huge mistakes with your cold calling and email outreach, or maybe you're coming across too aggressively with your prospect and your breath reeks of desperation. You could be failing to set the agenda and waste both you and your prospect's time. You may have a limiting belief that's negatively affecting your sales interactions. The list goes on and on. Thomas Jefferson failed 10,000 times when creating the light bulb. This 10,000 failures mentality applies to anything in your life. Yes, you can absolutely figure this stuff out on your own, but do you really want to try the 10,000 different ways to fail? If you're watching this and you're like me, you understand that time is valuable. If I look back on my journey, I wasted so much time trying sales tactics that didn't work. If I had a sales mentor early on, I would have gotten there a lot sooner. But instead, I waited years before committing. Years that I'll never get back. So at this point, here are some questions I want you to ask yourself. Do I know exactly what to say during each part of the sales process and how to push the interaction forward? Do I know the best way to handle my prospects' objections? Do I know how to keep my sales pipeline consistent throughout the year so I don't experience periods of sales drought? Do I have blind spots that are repeatedly preventing me from gaining my prospects' trust? If you don't have the answers to these questions, then you have a choice to make. You can keep doing things as you've always done and commit to figuring things out on your own. Or if you want to not only save time, but gain the confidence that you're 100% doing things right, you can look to someone for guidance. And it doesn't have to be me, but you gotta evaluate your mentor. Did they struggle? And do they truly know what it was like to not be able to do sales at first and then methodically work through it? Are they actively practicing what they preach? Are they in the top 1% of salespeople? Can they critique and improve your vocal tonality, your word choice, and your talk tracks? Have they studied the art of sales, influence, persuasion, and negotiation? Can they provide you with battle-tested templates that they themselves have used to generate hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of sales? Are their clients getting results? The reason I ask this is because these are the standards that I hold myself to. If you're interested in becoming my client and having me help you generate 6 figures in sales commissions, here's how I can help. I've set aside 45-minute slots on my personal calendar to speak with you about your sales strategy. These calls are absolutely free and there is no obligation to buy anything. I'll dig in deep and find out what's stopping you from hitting your goals and show you how I can help. Here's what we'll do on the call. First, I'm gonna help you become clear on what's holding you back. Then, I'll help you become clear on how to fix it. Then, if and only if it makes sense to work together, I'll give you more information on personalized one-on-one coaching. Let's talk about price. My rate is very, very fair, but it's not cheap. But the good news is that you only got to close a couple deals to cover the cost of the coaching program. Samantha was about to be put on a performance improvement plan by her company, so we hopped on a coaching call. On that very call, she was able to close 3 deals simply applying one of my email strategies. This more than covered the cost of my coaching. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, I want you to be happy with your enrollment. I do have a refund policy if you're not happy. If you aren't happy within 30 days, you'll get your money back. I want you to click the button below this video to book a 45-minute session with me right now, and I'll see you inside.
I was scared. I was nervous. I don't think I picked up the phone in the office for like my first 4 to 5 months. It was horrible. Like I literally had to get a phone booth. Vinny had the crown. It's just all these plaques of Vinny accomplishing this, accomplishing that, accomplishing this, keeping the title. And I was like, damn, like this guy got it. And I was very lucky to sit in front of you. You really showed me all the ins and outs of like the whole sales cycle process. I mean, it comes to prospecting, qualifying, the close, the retain. I mean, it's super all important. Implementing it in was super easy. I mean, hearing your talk track, hearing your verbiage. I'm like, okay, I could say that. I mean, I just smile on the other end of the phone. I might be able to say some of that stuff and sell it. So when it comes back to results, I got rookie of the period twice in my first 4 months. I'm not scared anymore. And it definitely did help having you sit directly in front of me.
I think working with you was the best thing I could have done for sales. Not just saying this, but after working with you, I feel so much more confident in being able to sell. You are very patient and you're very understanding of things. You know, when I first came on as a new hire, I was very scared and intimidated with the whole sales process. You definitely didn't push that aside like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You listen a lot, which is a huge thing in sales.
It really is.
You listened a lot to everything and really we're able to turn that into practice, you know, you're feeling like this, but what if you look at it like this? Say if I didn't meet you through this role, I don't think I would be half as successful as I am today.
I just trusted in you to, because I saw you closing deals and I was like, okay, if I just do what this guy's doing, I'm gonna be closing deals, you know what I mean? You know, you gave me a lot of talk tracks. It was really just sticking to the talk tracks, you know, not really trying to do my own thing right at when I first started. It was more so just literally almost word for word, take what you're giving me and just apply it straight up. And I was starting to see results pretty quickly. I just stuck to it as long as it was working. Yep. You know, I just kept doing it, and you know, 3-4 months in, I was closing deals on my own, and I really started getting the hang of things.
I appreciate your ability to not sugarcoat. I'm a direct person. You're a very direct person. You're not going to sugarcoat anything to anybody. You really do want to see people win. Like, I definitely feel like, I've always said, I feel like you and I are part of a fraternity, just because I'm like, I'm gonna call you and you always have my back. You're like a sales encyclopedia. You know so much. It's kind of crazy to think that you know so much. And you encourage it, and you still want to learn. And you're still doing it because you know that things change and they're rapid. You push people because you push yourself. So that's what you want.
Everyone should have a coach. Vinny is probably one of the most influential, not just salespeople, just individuals I've ever worked with. You know, as you go through life, you meet people and you're like, this person just doesn't get it. Like, you get it. Like, I manage a team at a different company now, and I'll be like, why can't they just, like, I want them to talk to Vinny. Like, they need a wake-up call. They need to get over themselves and just sell. I would 10 out of 10 recommend anyone to talk to you, whether it's about sales, life, music, anything, because you're a good dude. And I look forward to staying in touch, honestly, forever, because no doubt. You're super genuine.
Oh yeah, one more thing I want to warn you about is this. Because these are 45-minute sessions, I can only do so many of these calls. In addition, I'm limited to taking only a few people because these are personalized coaching opportunities. I want you to click the button below this video to book a 45-minute session with me right now, and I'll see you inside. Who is this coaching for? People who have integrity and are focused on giving their customers value instead of trying to milk them for money. People who realize that making 6 figures doesn't come overnight, and that you'll make 0 results if you do 0 work. People who are willing to invest both time and money in themselves. Why am I doing this? Because I know firsthand how devastating it is to have an empty pipeline and no leads to try to even sell to. Because I know what it's like to have paralyzing anxiety when it comes to making phone calls or connecting with prospects in person. Because I know what it's like to make literally 200 cold calls each day and get rejected 200 times. I'm doing this because I don't want you to go through the same struggles I did. I'm too shy and lacking in personality. That's not an excuse. You don't have to be a loud and super extroverted person. As long as you can be genuine and listen to people, you'll close more deals. One of my clients, Kenta, is a reserved and introverted person. Yet I was able to help him achieve B2B salesperson of the region 4 times by simply improving his talk tracks and fine-tuning his follow-up processes. I'm scared of rejection. That's not an excuse. One of my clients, Drake, was too scared to even pick up the phone for cold calls. But after I worked with him on his mindset, he was able to book more meetings with prospects and start closing deals. This resulted in him achieving B2B Rookie of the Month 2 months in a row. I don't sell software as a service. That's not an excuse. One of my clients, Tyler, sells office supplies. Yet right after I coached him, he was able to close a deal for $21,458 selling laptops. I don't have time. That's not an excuse. This will save you time. Before, my client JT was only averaging around 70% of his monthly quota. With my help, in just 2 weeks, JT transformed into a closer with a 100% monthly quota average. I don't have money. That's not an excuse. If you believe you can make just a couple sales with my help, let alone hundreds, this is a no-brainer. On top of that, if you need payment assistance, I do have some payment options, but this is on a case-by-case basis. Being afraid is not an excuse, because what often lies on the other side of fear is greatness. I can help you get the income and lifestyle you deserve by making you feel good rather than slimy when doing sales. You'll be changing people and businesses' lives for the better by selling them the products they actually need. If you'd like to see how, I'd like you to book a 45-minute session with me where there will be no obligation to buy anything. I'm going to give you upfront value, and if you feel like working together, I'll show you how we can do that as well. But there's no obligation to do that. I'm doing this because I want to help hardworking, dedicated people just like you who need the right guidance. So click the link below to sign up right now, and I'll see you inside.